Hey, Roland.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm great, thank you. Yeah.
That's good to hear. So I hear you've been writing a book.
Yes.
Together with Alexei Krivinsky and
Krivitsky.
Krivitsky.
Yes.
The strong language.
Yeah.
And Greg Larman.
Yeah.
So you guys have been working on the book for over a year, I think now. So I've been reading it, and
And?
no,
Ah.
I like it. Yeah. No worries, including the cover.
All right, good. Well, yesterday we still had a small discussion. All of a sudden, Alexei came like, "Oh, I think the cover is way too dark." I'm like, "No, it's okay. Don't start doing this.
The
Don't make it
cover,
light blue."
light blue. Oh yeah, that would
Yeah,
be good color. Yes.
too much.
Now the cover is good, I
Yeah.
would say.
Okay, but don't judge the book on its cover.
Absolutely not. But usually on the back. That's the best way to judge it.
Okay,
The back cover.
just read it, man.
So one question that occurred me before I even started reading the book.
Yeah.
What was the kind of the root cause, whether it was something in your lives or something that you found in organizations, to start writing a book?
Great question. You know that Alexei and I were already working back then for
Yeah.
4 years on, formulating these ideas on organizational design called organizational topologies. That's what it emerged, right?
Yeah.
And we had so much material. We thought like, man, we should just like consolidate this and write it down in the book. Yeah, because also we keep on changing and evolving these ideas. And at some point, all the stuff that we came up with kind of stabilized into something real,
Yeah.
tangible and stable. So that was the point that we thought like, yeah, let's put it down in a book. That was even before Craig joined.
Hmm.
When we started writing, I don't know, tons of pages. It was more like, I think, feeling the waters, testing the waters, trying like, what is writing about and how's this going to go? Does it make sense at all?
And for you guys, it was also the first book
Absolutely. Well,
ever.
for me, it was. No,
Yeah.
Alexei wrote a book before, Lego for Scrum, but I have never been an author of a book. And then when we had our first scribbles, all of a sudden, Craig came to the party.
Yeah.
And that kind of accelerated everything and also changed the direction, bursting a lot of really cool ideas that Craig already had built up over the years
Hmm.
that he also wanted to add to the book. And then it became a year's exercise to deliver the writing that we have now.
I've never actually wrote a book, but I can imagine how much work that
It's painful.
actually is. Yes.
It's painful. Yeah, because you learn a lot from it, but it's also very confrontational in knowing that there is so much that you don't know yet. And it's the words, which words do you use? What do they mean? And we take so much for granted, right? And then you have to be precise, otherwise the book just doesn't make any
Yes.
sense.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and the reason why we started writing the book and before that studying with org topologies what happens in the business world is that
Hmm.
we see so much waste of potential. Organizations have structures that are like truly what we see outdated, date from Taylorism, Fayol, back in the Industrial Revolution with all the organograms with people connected to skills or functions, and then we try to match this in this ever-changing world that we're in currently. It just doesn't make sense. So it's time for something new to help the people to really consciously solve those problems and give people the space to breathe and contribute with all that they bring to a company. That's what
So
we do.
that build up to the title 10x org.
Yeah, definitely.
So what is a 10x org?
For me, a 10x organization is an organization that is fit for purpose, right? And I'm biased
Hmm.
because I think, in true honesty, that no company can survive without a reasonable amount of adaptability.
Agree. Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, a 10x org is an adaptable organization, right? A learning organization. But nonetheless, if your company operates in a market that's really stable, where there are a lot of knowns and not so many unknowns,
And the money is
and the
pouring
money is
in.
pouring in,
Yeah.
then probably you don't need that much adaptability. Maybe you can tuck it away in an R&D department somewhere, and the rest of the organization can just stay stable and have the old model. That would be, more of a resource utilization focused organization.
Yeah.
And that fits in the model of org topologies, where we call this the resource topology. And that can be, let's say, a 10x org
Mhm.
If everything in this organization is geared to be fit for purpose to pursue that goal of resource utilization.
The title, let's say, attracts, I
Mhm,
must say.
mhm.
I mean, everybody wants to grow and become better and go faster. So people have ideas around
Yeah.
this, and therefore they they most likely will start reading the book.
But you know that 10x org, we also mentioned this in the book.
Mhm.
It's a pretty bold claim. Right? Read this book and you will 10x the performance of your
Yeah,
organization. It's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
woo. And you know, Weinberg said, like, don't do this because you will embarrass people. Because you implicitly say what you're currently doing is not
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, usually improvements are what was it? To
10,
two
10%.
percent or something?
Yeah,
Not
never go
normal?
over 10%.
Yeah,
And we say 10 times, right? 10x.
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, still, I think we need to make a bold claim because it's time for making bold moves. The world is changing rapidly. I mean, look at what's happening with AI. You need to, step up your game. So just saying, writing a book now about how to improve with 5% is not going to cut it, right?
Absolutely not.
No,
No, no,
no.
no. Now that you mention it, AI, if you look at the cover, it almost looks like, oh, AI is going to solve our problem. But
Mm.
when reading the book,
Just like implementing the scaling framework did,
yeah,
right?
yeah. But what I found really nice, I mean, I'm a big fan of AI, but I'm not a big believer that organizations will change dramatically super fast
Hmm.
just by AI. That in the book, AI actually is not really mentioned that often at all.
Hmm.
So,
Well, in the book, I need to say the book consists of two main
mhm,
streams, right? There's this business novel where we join a company that is confronted with a CEO that wants to start cutting down new hires with AI.
yeah,
That's how the story starts. And then the second part of the book is explaining theoretically what the 10x org design system actually is. Right?
yeah. So,
And
what do you think leaders actually misunderstand when they hear AI and they think, oh, this
well,
is going to
it's
boom,
exactly
and
what you just said, right? They
they
think it
forgot
will
about,
solve all their problems.
yeah,
Right? And now they will become hyper performant. And that's so not true. And I think that's one of the key messages in the book. It's there is no silver bullet, there is no fairy dust, right? There is no magic wand. No, it's just hard work. There's no instant pudding, we say, to quote Deming.
no,
And the same goes for AI. I mean, if you think about it, that let's assume that there are some problems in your organizational design currently. Okay, maybe you have team scoped responsibilities with team product owners,
hmm,
lots of them, with
yep,
coordination on top to make sure that there is some kind of value being created. And now you're giving everybody a Copilot license, right? Yay, we're doing AI, and now we're gonna solve all our problems. Well, I am inclined to think that doing this will make the teams locally faster. They will be able to create faster tech specs, or they will be able to faster do testing or generate code. But it will also increase all their backlogs and work lists. So the current problem is going to become emphasized. It's going to become bigger, even
yeah.
faster.
So all the problems you have, they're actually growing
I think so. Well, they're not
equally.
growing.
Yeah,
They're going to become painful faster. This is because, this example of giving everybody a license and hoping that your problems will be solved is a naive approach of adopting AI. It's the same naive approach of thinking that if you call a consultant to tell you what the new target operating model should be and just do it, execute it all over the board,
yeah.
that will solve your root cause, your root problems. No, it won't. You need to understand what the problem is first, and then fix it.
Absolutely. So, why do you think leaders are readily to redesign strategies or products, but when they actually have to look at organizational design,
Yeah,
they're hesitate?
yeah. This is I'm not really sure about this one. My guess is one, organizational design is not a management skill per se that we all have and know about, like what you learn at school.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Org
also,
design,
yeah,
no, it's not in the management school. So there's this not knowing about that org design is something important. Then I think secondly, what business leaders are mostly busy with is not so much internal organizational stuff, right? There's more things and challenges, more urgent. I mean, org design is maybe important, but it's not urgent. Okay, so it's this short term versus long term,
Yeah.
yeah, problem. What I also see is that an organizational design is a structure, and it empowers people. It does something to people, and it's not a thing that you would want to change every day. Like maybe also the design of your car is pretty fixed. You don't want to change the rooftop, and it's not. It's more set in stone because this is the way we do it, and it has proven to be working because we already make so much money with this current design,
Exactly. Yeah.
right? So why
Yeah.
why are you going to change all this chassis on which we build our success? I think it's along those
Yeah. That
lines.
seems also for a lot of organizations a lot of work without immediate proof that it will help.
Yeah, especially if you are going to consider changing your organizational design as a project, right?
Yeah. That's.
Yeah, because then you need to put money on the table, get people in to do it for you, all these problems you're going to have, and then hoping that it's going to deliver this result.
Yeah, usually not a good idea.
No, not according
Uh,
to me.
Now I fully agree with you on
Yeah,
that
this
one.
is also what we bring forward in the book, right? 10x org is a system to design your organization with, and it's powered by org topologies. That's the way we connect it. And org topologies is this mapping you can do in your organizational design,
Yeah.
where you don't look at the organogram, like this, but you really look at how do people collaborate to deliver the value that we sell to the customer. Okay, how do we make our money, or how do we achieve our ambitions? This could be me and you needing to talk to each other because I make the specifications and you make the software. But it's a whole chain of people collaborating to ultimately deliver that value. Once you see that mapping, you can understand better how you create this value and whether that is fit for purpose if you consider that structure that you've created in regard to the market that you're in with your company and the strategy that you're going for. You have a business ambition.
Yeah.
You want to achieve something. Is then this org design that I see, that I've honestly mapped, fit for purpose to drive me to that business goal? Now, if that's not true, this is the mapping, and then you can assess. This is assessing, right? Am I fit for purpose? If you see there's room for improvement, you can start using that map as a design tool to try different configurations, and then implementing them is a gradual. We propose a gradual approach to try experiments. We call them elevating katas, and that together makes an acronym: MADE, made,
Yeah.
assess,
Yeah.
design, and elevate. That's the method by which you can or change your org uh, in a learning loop all the time. You continuously do this, so it becomes learning is not separated from work, right? It's like Scrum. You continuously improve your process while you improve the value you deliver to your customers. So it's not those are not new ideas that we put in the book. We condense them into something that is not too difficult to comprehend and not too dangerous to try.
And in the book, you guys also mention briefly, at least, frameworks. Leaders often like frameworks, not that they look into it in depth, but as long as they have a good feeling about it, it might apply to their organization. For me, it's often an illusion. But what do you think that leaders tend to go for some framework instead of thinking about some reorg of their organization?
Mhm. Yeah, to me, like I agree with you. The framework has a bad taste to it, right? Because people wrongly assume that implementing the framework will solve all problems, like implementing AI will solve all problems.
Yeah.
And that is not true. So, for all I care, if people think, managers think, this 10x org framework is what I need, really, I'm not going to debate about whether it's a framework or not. I don't think it's a framework because we don't, if you look at what is required to be a framework, we don't have that.
No.
But if that's what gets them going, that's all right. you know, it's about what we're going to achieve with this. As long as they see that making their organization more fit for purpose and more adaptable is going to make the difference between winning or losing in the future, with the push of AI, and it will lead to not firing people because it's simple, right? If people in your organization have very limited accountabilities, if they're really narrow scoped in what they do, then it becomes kind of tempting to replace them with an AI agent that can do the same and doesn't sleep, doesn't need a canteen and no contract, whatever.
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, you need to have a good, compelling reason to sell the idea that you're going to hire a person for 6,000 euros compared to a 25 bucks AI agent, right? Come on, there needs to be some added value here.
Exactly, yeah.
And that's not going to happen if you keep your people bounded to very narrowly scoped work, right? If you don't let them interact on the real business problems and give them a broad mandate on what they need to learn, whether it's new skills or new problems that the customer has to be discovered, right? Really at the customer level. If you don't give them a broader mandate, then yeah, you're not going to be able to get the benefits from AI, for instance.
No.
Right? You're going to be stuck in replacing people and not getting a 10x opportunity.
Exactly.
I think. So yes, if they want to call it a framework, rather not, but then all right, call it a framework, as long as it will liberate people from the modern slavery of being only used as a resource.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nasty word.
Well, yeah, but
people.
isn't that what it is?
Yeah.
I'm trying to say that people are so versatile. People in their private lives, people take decisions on life and death, on going into a financial, uncharted territory, going to a bank, buy a house, whatever they do, right? And they take so much responsibility. And then when they go to work, they're only allowed to stamp forms or only allowed to develop front-end code, or
Yeah.
which is stupid because people are not skills. People have skills, and they got lots of them. And we're born as learning machines. So if they only have 2 skills now, we can create an environment where they can learn 5 or 6 skills, which doesn't have to degrade the quality at all. Especially not now, since AI is here. Right? We
Yeah.
can really all become good legal advisors if we use the tool properly.
Absolutely. And that's what I like about the book. So it really depicts on AI is a big thing. It doesn't fade that away, but it makes it very strong that people are actually the key
Absolutely.
thing that
Yeah.
we're talking about. But why do you think organizations find it so hard to get this part right? Because there are numerous of examples in the news where organizations keep firing people or reduce hiring in order to have AI take over some of their activities.
Well, probably many organizations suffer of organizational obesity, right? There is just way too many people because of the structure.
For some, that might
Yeah,
apply,
yeah.
but a lot of them do it because of the performance they gain.
But performance
Where
money-wise or in less costs.
both, I would say.
Mm.
Where you guys in the book say, yeah, but you still need people for that.
Well, we foresee companies will become much more performant if we allow humans work alongside with AI.
Yeah.
And not have AI simply as a human replacement tool. I mean, if you add AI to a current Scrum team or to a person who has a certain function in the organization, then if you will allow that person to use that AI only for their function, there's not going to be a lot of progression here, right? It's just going to be faster. We said this before.
Yeah.
In doing that function. But if you will allow their mandates to be bigger, so to interfere in product design, to think about what other new technologies they could start be using, then there's no other way than to change the way that we collaborate together inside the organization if you want to really get the benefits of AI. For me, it's like there's no other way. But the question is, why don't we do it? Because it's scary. Because
Most likely, yeah.
I'm a manager of a department. So what's going to happen if everybody is going to get broad mandates? What's going to happen with me? And maybe I have the idea that we don't have that kind of people who can do that. So it's super unknown where we're going to with this stuff. But yeah, we call it elevating, and it's not. It's like for those techies around. It's like, yeah, to be able to collaborate, we will need to open up all repositories and everybody can change any repository. Ooh, that's also super scary, right? If that's going to happen tomorrow in my organization, man. But the world is not black and white. Okay, the world is multicolored. So what you could do is look at the repositories that need a lot of care and attention because they're super important. And then think about a different strategy for opening them up than other repositories that just have, who cares what's happening there, right? That's not So you can gradually open things up. You can determine who can and who cannot. You can start with doing pull requests before committing to trunks. So there's a lot of, nuance to it. And I think the same thing goes for how you're going to grow your organization, getting used to really having people work on with broader mandates.
And so one of the things that is kind of like a flow throughout the whole book is about learning. It makes it super clear it's not a nice to have,
No.
but kind of mandatory. So how does that translate then into this business performance that people like to talk about?
If you would have money to invest in an organization and you'd go there, talk to the people, and you see that they're continuously learning stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's then it gives you the idea of, wow, it doesn't matter what kind of problem these people are going to get, they will get over it. They will find a solution, right? Because they really have a great capability, which is continuous learning.
Mm-hmm.
So I think learning is key to survive in the future.
Yeah, but still, organizations who do well seem to forget that.
Mm-hmm.
Only when things go bad,
Mm-hmm.
then people are forced to learn because there's a kind of panic situation.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. I'm losing a little bit the original question, but to continue on this point.
Well, the direction was why does learning actually help an organization to get an improvement on their business performance? Because that's a large message in the book.
Isn't that obvious?
Yeah. For me, yes, because I've written the book.
What did you get from the book? Why we think learning is that important to get 10x performance?
Well, parts of it you already mentioned. It's all about being able to adapt. If you're acceptable in that your organization is learning, then no matter what you throw at it, it might be a problem, but it will be resolved faster because people are used to learn and they're used to looking at getting feedback.
Learning becomes an essential capability of the organization.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So and that's what you need in these modern times. For most businesses, there's a lot of unknown, and therefore learning becomes more important. And maybe not across the whole organization, but I would say in general we do.
Yeah.
So does that satisfy the question?
Absolutely. Yeah. So another one, more a personal one. While you were writing the book.
Oh, you're getting personal now.
Yeah. What was there any surprise, any change in mindset that you had?
You want to know the biggest surprise
along the way? Yeah.
The biggest one?
Tell me.
That was really a surprise. It was a present. It was Craig stepping in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not because this is less community. Hey, no, really, because we were already, fiddling around with these texts and ideas to try to write things properly down. And then Craig was like, "How come you guys are not writing about AI?" We were, we're not AI experts, so why should we? And he went like, "Yeah, it's like writing a book in the 90s about organizations and how they work and not mentioning the computer." Fair point. And then we started exploring, the three of us, the impact of AI, right? How did we see, what's the connection between org design and AI?
Mm-hmm.
What is the impact?
Interesting,
yeah. So that was like the biggest epiphany, right? It expanded also the scope of the book enormously, but it made it much more future-proof. Yeah. So like you say, you're not going to find in the book like, which AI tool do I need to buy to become successful?
Yeah.
But we do give you like a very strong principle. For instance, we added principles for org design to help you in your journey. And one of those principles boils down to, you will only get the benefits from AI if you first consider your org design. So it's so tightly coupled. And we've discussed this a couple of times in this discussion already, right?
Yeah, absolutely. In this book, you emphasized designing organizations around real products, clear responsibility, fast learning loops. So looking at approaches that already embody those principles at scale, where does less fit in the 10x org thinking?
Yeah. Well, less is an implementation of an adaptive org design, an adaptive topology. So we have three topologies. The first one is resource topology, focuses is predictable utilization. Then there's delivery topology, which is more of the feature factory idea. can't handle too much change, right? But if you know what to deliver, you can do it fast and gear up to do that. And then there's adaptive, which is this is where the thinkers and the doers are combined together to work in the same cadence at the same time at the same problem. So this is where less sits, because there's a centralized product management concept. People work in large groups and pick up problems. They need to learn all the time, right? So that's where people have broad mandates. They can pick up any new technology they need, horizontal axis. They can learn any new customer domain problem, whatever related to vertical axis, the level of work that they're interfering with. So yeah, that's definitely an adaptive implementation. And another example could be, but this is like more Scrum oriented, okay, where it comes from. And then we also discovered fast, fluid, agile scaling technology, or adaptive scaling technology. And that's more Kanban oriented. It doesn't really have those events and is more focused on continuous flow, but also with very broad mandates. Yeah.
Nice. And
maybe because this was like, why did we originally start thinking about organizational topologies? I think the idea was, how do you call it, amplified, when Alexei and I were at, I think it was a LESS conference in Warsaw, where we were actually sad for the fact that there were so many knowledgeable people in that room cracking such difficult problems and doing beautiful things, right? But let's say the impact of LESS in the world for organizing ourselves around product is like very limited if you compare this to other frameworks that are out there. So we really felt like, hey, maybe we need to have an alternative narrative to better understand what LESS is all about, and actually that fits into what we're discovering. Okay, because we were talking about how does your organization work and how can we map it, and we saw, of course, that LESS was a different beast, and this is how we found, through LESS we found, that's truly adaptive. We also discovered and learned to appreciate the other topologies, delivery and the resource.
There's never one way to reach your goal.
No, actually, I think it's a very healthy thing to have multiple organizational topologies in your company, if you're big enough, of course. I mean, if you're 4 guys and a dog in a garage, right? No, but bigger organizations will have a part in their organization that is really in, where there's not a lot of variability in the work, and you need to just gear yourself there to ship stuff. But not only that, right? You would also need to have a part in your organization that does R&D and that knows what the latest hippest thing is, and they will need to have broader mandates to learn
as well.
Another
nice one. So, what is a popular management belief today where you would see in 5 years, we would think, how on earth could we have ever believed that?
A very old and traditional one, that you need really this functional hierarchy. I hope in 5 years people will see that was really, really not working. But I
hope that as well, but
I don't think it's going to happen. Mindsets maybe like, well, if you just work harder, it will all work out. That's also not gonna. How could I ever think that, right?
No, but it's fine. I mean,
okay. Do you have one?
We cannot predict the future anyway. So
can you share one? Because you've got ideas on this too, maybe.
I'm perhaps a bit, let's say, cynical there, because I've seen so many of these fads exist already for so long, and organizations seem to not care. They try sometimes and they fail, which is fine, but then they stop finding out, why did we actually fail? They try to find the next one immediately to fix the old one.
And those people should buy the book.
Exactly.
Right? But I'm promoting, but it's also true, right?
Absolutely.
Because I agree. You use the word fad, and I would say all these, and it's one of those great quotes from Craig. I don't know which conference he came with this, but like he sums up the year and when some kind of management idea or framework was launched. It's like tons of them, and he also includes LESS in there. And then he says, there's nothing wrong with these ideas, right? But it's just something wrong in the way that they were adopted, because they were adopted for the wrong reasons, or we never really looked at the root causes that we were trying to solve, and the root problems that we were trying to solve.
Yeah. So the feedback loop is usually missing, with, let's say, from the systemic point of view. So the book will be out
February
24th?
24th of February.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's a big day. What?
Worldwide launch
Yeah, no,
on
it's
Amazon.
it's
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 good.
pretty cool. Yeah. So when people have finished the book,
Yeah.
what do you secretly hope they will feel compelled to do differently the very next week?
People is a big group, right? So
Oh, you can make
let's
two
say
examples:
let's take
leadership versus coach, for
okay,
example.
yeah, okay. So there's leadership. I hope they will start to appreciate and see that organizational design is really their responsibility and nobody else's. And hopefully they can see that they will maybe they are open to give it a try, right? To really ask someone to map a part of the organization to have a look,
Yeah.
right? Because they know what they want to achieve and maybe and they haven't been there for a while, let's say, to see how the work was really done. So maybe they can ask someone to make a little bit of a mapping and then think about it for half an hour, like, is this fit for purpose? That would be great. Just a small experiment. Coaches, yeah, I think coaches and consultants.
Mm-hmm.
I want to encourage them to try to think how they can use this book to have a new narrative when they go talk to a customer, because for me, consulting business currently with AI is heavily under pressure. Do we still need an external consultant? We can ask anything we want.
Yeah. It's
And I think right now, consultancy is still very valuable, but it won't cut it to just sell that framework, right? So the book can help the consultant to get change going, to really get change going. Just, in your conversation, try to, convey those ideas of being fit for purpose, organizational design fit for purpose. I mean, why are we having this PMO? Why are we running all these projects? Why, all that stuff. Maybe that has to do with a flaw in the organizational design, right? The coordination overhead can maybe be reduced. Those are good things to say, and you can back it up with, making a mapping and making it visual, and from there on, generate your business.
yeah.
So, a small place to start is to try to, convey that message as a consultant.
And visualization helps a lot.
Absolutely.
I fully agree.
And it gives everybody, it visualize and then disagree. That's great, but you can at least
At least you have a
talk about
discussion.
it, have the same language, and look at the same thing.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Roland.
Welcome.
And I wish you guys all the best with the launch.
Yeah.
It's going to be exciting.
Yeah, well, we have a special introduction price for the Kindle, so it would be great if the audience wants the book. Then maybe it's interesting to buy it on the 24th. It's a launch, what do you call it, special launch price. And I also want to thank on behalf of Craig and Alexei for having us to do this interview.
Of course.
Yep. Good.
See you soon.